yesterday, Trump and and Netanyahu met right after Trump met with Zelensky. So Trump met with Zelensky at 9:30 a.m. They sat there for an hour and a half, and then at 11 a.m. Trump met Netanyahu. I don't think this is a coincidence, especially since Ukraine recently happened to get involved in the war with Iran. And Ukraine has a lot of interests in the fall of the regime of the Islamic Republic. And last month, His Royal Highness King Reza Pahlavi was also in Odessa, and presumably he was there. He in a conference, he gave an interview and a speech, but presumably that's not all he did there. And presumably, Ukraine is involved in arming the Iranian people with drones. We don't know this for sure, but this is like reading between the lines. This appears to be something that's happening. So, how did the meeting go? So Netanyahu was in the U.S. talking with an expanded forum, meaning the room had him, some aides, Vance, Hegseth, Rubio, Trump, and I think maybe Susie Wiles was there. I hope she left the room like for the actual meeting, but she was at least there for the photo op. And Netanyahu said that this was the best meeting he has ever had with Trump. That's hyperbole, and you could argue, well, he's just saying it for internal reasons, internal political reasons, like, oh, he's trying to show that he's still besties with the president. I don't think that's the case. I think his relationship with Trump is no longer a political asset since the MOU. People have soured, like the public in Israel have soured on Trump somewhat. They're most likely involved. Do the Israelis blame Trump or Vance more for the crap MOU? It depends on how involved you are, because a lot of people don't know the intricacies of like internal American politics, so they know the Vance is vice president, but a lot of people just, oh, Trump signed a surrender deal, he's so weak, and so on. And even like the people who know put the onus on Vance, but at the same time, Trump had to sign off on this, and it wasn't just Vance; it was Vance, it was Kushner, and it was Witkoff. So I think it was a mistake. I think they gave them too much optics wise, even though they knew it was likely not going to move on to any other phase. But I think they should have demanded more on the optics. I guess they got stressed because of trying to clear out the strait. The optics at Amulin's funeral were epic. Yeah, so Netanyahu talked to Hegseth and Rubio in the funeral. He also had a small conversation with Zelensky. Although again, presumably Zelensky was also involved, even if not directly, in like he was part of the conversation between Trump and Netanyahu, presumably. At the very least, by sending the message that we're on board or sending the message that we're not on board or whatever. All right. By the way, Russia is collapsing. Like Putin is going to be assassinated by Russians before he'll be able to conquer Kyiv. We might be seeing the end of the Russian Federation under Putin. Like this war might have been the death knell of Putin's regime, which would be great. I don't know what comes of him, but Putin is also a destructive force for the West. Now, we don't know what happened. We know that Netanyahu met with Trump. So Netanyahu had the larger meeting. Apparently, he also met one-on-one, face-to-face, like a private meeting with just Vance. And today, he's going to sit with Hegseth. We don't know what this means. I know that some officials in Israel have been clamoring for a chance to sit one-on-one with Vance to sort of straighten things out and create a better relationship for the future. The regime in Iran is trying to rearm. They're getting around 400 RPGs, anti-missile, anti-aircraft RPGs from China within the next few weeks. So presumably, if you want to do something now, you do it before that happens. At the same time, we've had some fire exchanges Recently, the Iranians are still striking. They struck the base in Jordan, a surprise strike, and they barely managed to get out with no one harmed. And the Saudis and Americans, in response, struck, or that was part of the response, struck Hashd Shabi in Iraq, and there are at least 20 killed and 32 injured in these strikes.